The sun hovers low over the cul-de-sac, bathing the houses in a golden glow. Birds flit between the towering oaks lining the sidewalks, their song weaving through the gentle hum of suburban life. My house, a two-story brick colonial with a freshly cut lawn, sits peacefully at the end of the street. It's my little slice of stability, a hard-earned home in a neighborhood that, on the surface, prides itself on being welcoming. I step out onto the driveway, stretching my arms as I admire the deep blue of my freshly washed Dodge Charger. It's not brand new, but it's mine, a symbol of everything I've worked for. I'd saved for years to afford this place, choosing it specifically because it was outside the jurisdiction of any HOA. No ridiculous rules, no entitled busybodies telling me how to live. Or so I thought. I hear the click-clack of expensive heels against pavement. A shadow creeps toward me. Excuse me. I turn. She stands there, arms crossed, an air of authority radiating off her like cheap perfume. Blonde bob, crisp white blouse, pearls. The uniform of every entitled HOA queen I've ever seen. But we don't have an HOA. Her eyes flick to my car, then back to me. A tight, polite smile stretches across her face, but there's something else beneath it. Something calculating. I'm sorry, but residents aren't supposed to park in their driveways overnight. She gestures vaguely at my Charger, then toward her own pristine Lexus parked 3 houses down. It's an eyesore. I blink. I'm sorry. What? She exhales like she's explaining something to a child. Vehicles should be kept in garages. It's an unspoken rule of the community. For aesthetics. I glance around at the other houses. Driveways dotted with SUVs, sedans, even an old pickup truck 2 doors down. None of them tucked away in garages. I meet her gaze. Pretty sure I can park my own car in my own driveway. She tilts her head, smile never faltering. Well, we do have standards. Ah, there it is. I bite back my irritation. I wasn't aware there was an HOA. Oh, there isn't. She waves a manicured hand. But a few of us like to ensure property values stay intact. I nod slowly. Right. Property values. A convenient excuse. Well, unless you've got a deed restriction or a legal reason why I can't park here, I think we're done. Her smile twitches. She steps back, eyes narrowing ever so slightly, just trying to maintain the neighborhood's character. I hold her gaze. She doesn't say it outright, but she doesn't have to. This isn't about a car. It never was. As she turns and walks away, I feel it. A disturbance. Something small, but something that won't stay small for long. The next morning, something feels off. I step onto my porch, coffee in hand, the air still thick with the scent of dew and freshly cut grass. But my gut is tight, a quiet, persistent warning I can't quite shake. Then I see it. A bright orange parking violation sticker plastered across my windshield like a neon slap to the face. Unauthorized vehicle. Subject to towing. I blink. Once. Twice. My car is literally in my own driveway. A slow heat crawls up my spine. My eyes dart around the cul-de-sac, searching for movement. A neighbor across the street waters his plants, studiously avoiding my gaze. A jogger glances at me before quickly looking away. They know something. And then, like clockwork, click-clack, click-clack. I turn and there she is. The woman from yesterday. HOA Karen, as my brain has started calling her. This time, she's not alone. A tall, balding man in business casual stands beside her, clipboard in hand. They whisper for a moment before she straightens, schooling her features into something just polite enough as she approaches. Morning, she says, faux sweetness dripping from her voice. I see you got the notice. My grip on my coffee tightens. Yeah. And I see someone made a mistake. She blinks, all innocence. Oh, I don't think so. My jaw clenches. I own this house. This is my driveway. There's no HOA. So tell me, under what authority is my car unauthorized? The man with the clipboard clears his throat. Technically, under local nuisance laws, vehicles left stationary for extended periods. I cut him off. Stationary? I drive it every day. Karen sighs dramatically, placing a hand on her hip. Look, I'm sure it's just a misunderstanding. But we do have a certain standard to maintain. Her gaze flicks to my charger, then to me.
She doesn't say it.
But I hear it. People like me. I exhale sharply, trying to keep my voice even. I'm not moving my car. Karen's smile sharpens. Well, that's unfortunate. Because if it's still there by tomorrow, we'll have no choice but to escalate. She turns on her heel, the man trailing behind her. Escalate? I watch them retreat, my pulse pounding. This isn't just some nosy neighbor with too much free time. She's playing a game. And something tells me she doesn't plan on losing. I don't wait. I march straight to City Hall. If there's some actual ordinance about parking in my own damn driveway, I want to see it in writing. The clerk, a young guy with tired eyes, barely looks up when I ask. He types a few things into his system, scrolls, then shakes his head. Nope. Nothing like that. Your property, your driveway. You're good. Just as I thought. I thank him and head home, my grip on the steering wheel tightening with every turn. I knew Karen was full of it, but now I have proof. What I don't have is an explanation for how she's pulling this off. When I pull into my driveway, I notice something immediately.
My car is fine.
But someone's been in my yard. The trash bin I'd rolled out that morning is knocked over, garbage spilling onto the curb. The flower bed I just planted last weekend, trampled. A sinking feeling grips my chest. And then, right on cue, click-clack, click-clack. Karen's standing there, across the street, arms folded. She's not alone. A few other neighbors are lingering, watching, pretending they're not. I step out of my car, locking eyes with her. Something you want to say? She smiles. Oh, just checking to see if you've reconsidered our friendly request. I gesture at my property. Did you do this? She gasps, fake as hell. Oh, goodness, no. But, when things look neglected, people lose respect for the neighborhood. A muscle in my jaw twitches. That's funny because I just got back from City Hall. Turns out there's no ordinance against parking in my driveway. Karen's smile falters for half a second before she recovers. Well, I never said it was a law. Just a community preference. I shake my head, exhaling. So, this is what? A personal vendetta? She tilts her head, eyes narrowing. It's about maintaining standards. That word again. Before I can respond, I hear the rumble of an engine. A tow truck pulls onto my street, slowing as it approaches my driveway. My stomach drops.
No.
No way. I spin to face the driver as he steps out. Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing? He glances at a clipboard. Got a request to remove an unauthorized vehicle from the premises. Karen clears her throat. Technically, it's a private matter between neighbors. We're just ensuring compliance. I bark out a laugh. There is nothing to comply with. The tow truck driver hesitates. Look, I'm just doing my job. I was called out. By who? I demand. Before he can answer, another voice rings out. Yo, what's going on here? I turn to see my next-door neighbor, James, stepping outside. He's an older black man, retired military, no nonsense. He takes one look at the tow truck, then at Karen, and shakes his head. You really trying this, Karen? Karen straightens, her face pinching. This is not your concern. James scoffs. The hell it isn't. This man's got every right to park in his own damn driveway. And you don't run this neighborhood, no matter what little committee you and your friends pretend to have. A murmur ripples through the bystanders. Some look away. Others shift uncomfortably. Karen's lips press into a thin line. I'm just looking out for property values. James steps closer, lowering his voice just enough that the weight behind it hits.
Nah.
You're looking at him, and you don't like what you see. Karen stiffens. For the first time, she looks truly rattled. The tow truck driver glances between us, clearly regretting his life choices. I'm not getting in the middle of this. If there's no official HOA, I can't tow it without the owner's consent. I cross my arms. Then I'd say your job here is done. Karen glares at me, But she knows she's lost this round. She spins on her heel and stalks off, her heels stabbing into the pavement. The crowd slowly disperses, but the energy lingers, an unspoken understanding hanging in the air. This isn't over.
But now?
Now I'm ready. The next morning, I wake up to something worse than a sticker on my windshield. A notice of violation is taped to my front door. Final warning: vehicle to be removed. Failure to comply will result in immediate towing at owner's expense. No signature. No letterhead. Just a threat, printed on cheap office paper. My blood simmers. She's doubling down. I glance at my security cameras, the ones I installed last year after a string of package thefts. If Karen or anyone else stepped onto my property to leave this, I'll know. I pull up the footage on my phone, fast-forwarding through the night. Then I see it. 2:14 a.m. A dark figure sneaks up my driveway, clutching a stack of papers. Even in grainy black and white, the silhouette is unmistakable.
Karen.
She slaps the notice onto my door, smooths her blouse, then takes a picture, probably to send to whatever fake authority she's pretending to represent. I exhale sharply. That's it. That's all I need. I call James. You up? Depends. You calling about that nonsense on your door? I grin despite my frustration. You saw it, heard about it, and I'm ready to handle it. I nod, the plan already forming. Meet me outside in an hour. At exactly 10 a.m., I step onto my porch. James is already there, arms folded, a knowing smirk playing on his lips. But it's not just him. A few other neighbors, ones who've been side-eyeing Karen's little reign of terror, are lingering nearby, watching. And right on schedule, click-clack, click-clack. Karen strides toward us, exuding smug satisfaction. She's wearing a beige power suit today, the kind of outfit people wear when they think they've won. Behind her, a tow truck rumbles down the street. I don't move. She stops at the edge of my driveway, glancing between me and my car like she's already counting her victory. Well, she says, hands on her hips, I did warn you. I arch a brow. That you'd escalate things illegally? Yeah, you did. She exhales, exasperated. This isn't illegal. It's necessary. Since you refused to comply, I had no choice but to take official action. Official? I laugh, shaking my head. Karen, you don't hold any authority here. There is no HOA.
No legal backing.
Just you and your fake violations. Her smile doesn't waver, but I see the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. She turns to the tow truck driver. Go ahead. Remove it. The driver hesitates. I need proof of HOA authorization. Karen bristles. I am the authorization. I clear my throat. Actually, I have proof. Proof that Karen trespassed onto my property last night. I pull out my phone, tapping the security footage. The screen lights up with a crisp, night vision video of Karen sneaking up my driveway, slapping the violation notice onto my door. A murmur ripples through the growing crowd. Wait, is that Karen? She was on his property? Karen's face drains. That doesn't prove anything. James chuckles. Oh, but it does. See, trespassing is illegal. Her nostrils flare. I wasn't trespassing, I was harassing a homeowner? I interject. Filing fraudulent complaints? Oh, and attempting to tow a legally parked vehicle without jurisdiction? She opens her mouth, then closes it. She knows she's cornered. But I'm not done. I turn to the tow truck driver. If you try to tow this car after seeing that, you're complicit in illegal activity. I'd think real hard before hooking it up. The driver shifts awkwardly, then shakes his head. Yeah, I'm out. He turns, climbs into his truck, and drives off without another word. Karen watches him go, her expression twisting from fury to panic. The neighbors are watching. Really watching now. Whispering. Filming. And just like that, her power shatters. I take a step closer, lowering my voice just enough for only her to hear. You lost. Karen stands frozen, her perfectly curated facade beginning to crack. The murmurs from the gathering neighbors grow louder, a wave of realization sweeping through the cul-de-sac. She really tried to tow his car? Wait, she trespassed. What else has she lied about? Karen's eyes dart around, searching for an escape, a way to regain control.
But there isn't one.
She underestimated me. She thought she could intimidate me into submission, that I'd fold under the weight of her entitlement. She thought wrong. I keep my voice steady, calm, but firm. Karen, let's talk about that little committee you keep bringing up. You keep acting like you're running an HOA, but there is no HOA in this neighborhood. So what, exactly, gives you the right to enforce anything? Her lips press into a thin line. We are simply concerned residents ensuring that community standards are upheld. I smirk.
Right.
And by community standards, you mean your own personal biases? Gasps ripple through the crowd. Some of the neighbors avert their eyes, but others, ones who've been silent for far too long, begin nodding in agreement. Karen squares her shoulders. Don't be ridiculous. Oh, it's not ridiculous at all. I lift my phone again, because the thing about security cameras is they record everything. I tap the screen, playing another clip. This one isn't just from last night. It's from 3 weeks ago. A different angle, a different moment. Karen, standing at my driveway, peering into my car's windows. Then, she turns and walks over to a neighbor, an older white woman, gesturing at my house with a frown. The audio is faint, but it's there. Doesn't really fit with the community, does it? Brings down the property values. I don't know why they always pick the nicest neighborhoods. The color drains from Karen's face. The silence that follows is thick. Then, James, who's been watching this unfold with crossed arms and a knowing smirk, finally speaks up.
Damn.
Guess she said the quiet part out loud. Huh. Karen's composure shatters. That's taken out of context, she sputters. I was talking about. Oh, please. James cuts her off. We all knew, Karen. You just finally made the mistake of getting caught. A few more neighbors, ones who had been neutral, ones who had turned a blind eye, now step forward. A woman near the corner house clears her throat. You know, now that I think about it, Karen did try to tell me my wreath was too ethnic last Christmas. Another man frowns. She reported my son's car for loitering when he was literally just visiting me. More murmurs. More nods. Karen's kingdom is crumbling. Brick by entitled brick. Then another twist. A police cruiser rolls down the street. Karen visibly stiffens. I raise an eyebrow. Expecting company? The car slows to a stop. A uniformed officer steps out, tall, broad-shouldered, and immediately looking pissed. Ma'am, he says, addressing Karen directly. We need to have a word. She forces a laugh, taking a step back. I don't see what this is about. The officer cuts her off. We received a call about trespassing and attempted vehicle theft. He gestures toward me. Mr. Daniels provided security footage confirming you unlawfully entered his property and attempted to have his car towed under false pretenses. Karen's breath hitches. This is ridiculous. It was a misunderstanding. The officer doesn't budge. Ma'am, we also have multiple complaints from neighbors corroborating a pattern of harassment. Karen whirls around, searching for support. But there's none left. No one comes to her defense. Not even the people she once called her allies. She clenches her fists. This is a witch hunt. You're all turning against me over him. She throws an accusing finger in my direction. He doesn't even belong here. A collective gasp ripples through the crowd. The officer's expression hardens. That's enough. He pulls out a notepad. Ma'am, you're being cited for trespassing and harassment. Karen stares, mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. You can't do this to me. The officer sighs. Ma'am, if you don't cooperate, we can escalate this further. Her entire body trembles with barely contained rage. But she sees it now. She lost.
Publicly. Humiliatingly.
She has no choice but to accept her fate. As the officer writes up her citation, I catch James grinning at me. He leans in and mutters, now that's what I call poetic justice. I smirk. Took long enough. Karen, still shaking with fury, yanks the paper from the officer's hand and storms off, humiliated. The neighbors slowly disperse, but the shift is palpable. Karen's reign? It's over. The fallout is swift. Karen thought she could walk away with just a bruised ego, but life had other plans. By the next morning, word has spread. Someone, probably James, posted the security footage online. Within hours, the entire neighborhood is buzzing. Karen's racist little monologue is circulating in the local community group, and people are pissed. Neighbors who once turned a blind eye are now speaking up. Karen to try to get my daughter's friend kicked out of the pool last summer. She called the cops on my nephew for looking suspicious when he was just delivering groceries. I thought I was the only one. One by one, the stories pour in. Her pattern of harassment, her weaponized entitlement, her obsession with keeping the neighborhood pristine, all of it exposed in the harsh light of day. And then, the real consequences begin. The fall of Queen Karen. 2 days later, a formal complaint is filed against her with the city. Turns out, falsely impersonating an HOA official carries legal consequences. So does attempted fraud, trespassing, and harassment. By the end of the week, Karen's facing multiple citations and a hefty fine. Then, the Homeowners Association Board, the real one, gets wind of everything. See, while our neighborhood doesn't have a mandatory HOA, there's a city-level community committee that handles actual residential concerns. And guess what? Karen applied for a position on that committee just last year. They send her a formal letter. Application? Denied. Future applications?
Banned. Why?
Because racism and corruption don't look great on a resume. And the final blow? Her real estate company, where she's been working as an independent consultant? Yeah, they find the video. They read the comments. They cut all ties. Because nothing tanks property values quite like being publicly exposed as a racist fraud. By the time the dust settles, Karen has lost everything she spent years building. And me? I'm free, reclaiming peace. A week later, I step onto my porch, coffee in hand, breathing in the crisp morning air. For the first time in months, there's no tension in my chest. No paranoia. No second-guessing whether my car will still be in my driveway when I wake up. James strolls over, arms crossed, a grin on his face. You see the news? I nod. Yep. They got her on local TV, man. HOA scam exposed, local woman faces backlash for fake neighborhood rules. I chuckle. Bet she hates that. Oh, she does, James smirks. Saw her yesterday. She won't even make eye contact with folks anymore. It's like she's a ghost. Poetic. The street is different now. Lighter. Neighbors who once kept their heads down now wave when they pass. People aren't afraid to speak up anymore. Karen's reign of terror is over. A final reckoning. The last time I see Karen, she's packing up a moving truck. She doesn't look at me. Doesn't say a word. But I know what she's thinking.
She lost.
Not just her fight against me. She lost the neighborhood. The power. The illusion of control. She thought she could bully me out. Instead, she got exiled. I watch as the moving truck rumbles away, disappearing down the street. Then I take a deep breath and head inside, finally at peace.